Hello and welcome to another Control-Delete tutorial. This one is going to be looking at a kind of building upon a previous tutorial where we had looked at creating modular room sections. And in that previous tutorial we'd kind of looked at building, turn my grid off here, building these modular room pieces for game development, having blank walls with doors, and ceiling pieces. Move that out of the way. And how we can use those and put them together in different arrangements to basically make any sort of wall section that you may need in any given sort of interior environment that you are making. And this is just a general topic. So what I want to look at in this video is how to UVW unwrap these assets together so that they can all occupy the same UV space basically. So what I've done here is I've created some wall sections. These are, if you watch the previous tutorial, I talk about a naming convention. So these ones are 2 walls, no door, corner. So this one has a door in the, if we're looking at this way, left corner. This one has 2 doors and it's a corner piece, and then this one has it in the right side based on where the wall is positioned there. And then we have hallway with 1 door, hallway with 2 doors. And so I'm just going to put up a list very briefly just so you can get an idea of the different room sections and how they're kind of organized. So I'm just going to pull up the list and open this up. And if you'd like to pause the video, you can kind of go down through and see how I've done all of the different room sections and the naming. So hallway is any parallel to walled section. L would be left, M is middle, R is right, so left would be left wall, middle would be this middle section, right would be over here. So those are telling you where the doors are located. So those are all the ones that I've done here. Now I want to look at how do we unwrap all of this, because there's a lot of stuff here and it seems like if I were to unwrap it one way, I might miss out on the opportunity of being able to add different sort of textures to different walls here. So the way I'd like to do this is first I'm going to hide my floor section because that's already unwrapped, and I'm going to hide my ceiling section because that's also already unwrapped. So I'll hide that. Alright, the next part, I'm just going to go into wire mode here. I'm going to select all of my sections and I'm going to move them all to 0, 0, 0. Now, my Z should have already been 0. I'm going to turn my grid back on. So as you can see, all of my objects here, if I look at their individual pivot points, they're all sharing exactly the same pivot point. And this makes it really nice and for level design for using these, because I can snap these all together very easily based on this pivot point. So to unwrap all of these objects, which can be kind of a daunting task, it's much easier though if I end up selecting all of them and I can apply a UVW or a unwrap UVW. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to open up the editor, and currently everything is filling up this packing area. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to move it off to the side, just out of the way. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at getting some of the other sections out of here that I don't need. So I'm going to turn on select by element, and I'm going to turn off ignore backface. I'm going to go in the front view. I'm just going to kind of push this off to the side. And so I'm going to grab basically all the framing sections. So I'm going to do a window selection, which I'm going to go into polygon mode. That's my bad there. So I'm going to do a window selection to select everything, and I'm going to deselect the bottom sections. So these are all my top crown molding, or whatever you want to call it. So that gets all of that part. I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to grab all of the bottom part here and deselect all the wall sections. So now I've got all the framing sections. So I'll take those and I'll move those out of the way. And then from there, for the framing, I'm going to deselect once again so I get all the bottom framing sections out of the way. So these are all of my bottoms. These are all the door frames. And these are all the top crown molding sections. So I'm not too worried about how they occupy the texture space. I'm more worried about the walls. So if I select this, let me zoom in here. And it's going to be a little tricky to see, but I'll turn on wire mode here. I'm going to set my color here to be different. I'll set it as green, just so we can see. Actually, let's do a blue, because my seams here are green. I don't want to get that confused. So what we can see is I've got just the wall sections left as selected here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these once again by basically breaking some of these sections apart. So the way I can do that, let's see, did some of the door frames not? Let me see what I've got here. Huh, I didn't expect that to happen. Okay, so it looks like I've got one other section here. So I'm going to select all my kind of door gaps that I have here. That one looks like it's already selected, but just in case, I'll select that. Okay, so those make up parts of this. Now I'm just going to take those, I'm going to right click. Oh, I'm in element mode. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay. Let me do that again. So what happened was whenever I selected this, when I selected the walls, these were still selected. So now I'm just going to select those. And I'm in the top view right now. So I'm selecting all of the door frames. Not the frame here, but the gap in between the walls of the door. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to right click, I'm going to say break, and now I'm going to move those out of the way. So those are all of my door gaps. I don't know if I'm not a carpenter, so I'm not sure if these are the right technical terms, but alright, let's see what I got left over here. So now I should have only my walls, and it looks to be that way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and deselect everything here, and that should leave only my back section of wall. So I'm going to right click, say break, and I'm going to move that off to the side. I'm going to select everything here, so now we can see I've got these three walls still left to do. So now I'll just go ahead and deselect everything here, which leaves me with just these walls. Right click, break, so this breaks them away. I'll move those over here. I'm going to select again, I'm going to go to the top view, and I'll deselect this side. Once again, right click, break, and that should leave just the right sides here. So I've got the right side, I got the middle, I've got the left side, the back wall, the front wall, and the right side wall. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a couple of things. Now this doesn't always work, but in the chance that it does work, it'll look very nice here. So I'm going to maximize this just so I can work this way. So I'm going to end up packing all of this stuff back into this packing area. But what I'm going to do is basically select everything here, which should be all of the frame sections here, and I'm going to start by just clicking on Quick Peel. Let's see what that looks like. Not such a good result. So instead, let's see. Quick planar map, maybe. Yeah, that's going to also give me a pretty poor result. Alright, so this is where it's going to get just a little bit more tedious. So I'm going to select everything here, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect these and separate these now. So I'm just going to select and deselect from there. Okay, so those are all my crown moldings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one by itself, and I'm going to do a quick planar on just that one. So that's what that looks like. Okay, I'm just going to move that off. And I'm going to do this to each of them. Quick planar. You know what, actually, I'm going to leave these all overlapping. Quick planar and quick planar. Alright, so those are all the crown molding sections. And I'm going to click relax and see if I can't spread these apart just slightly. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see what it ends up creating here. Takes a little while. Alright. So what it should do is adjust the polygons so that they're a little more evenly spaced, so the texturing will work a lot better. And that looks like it worked very nicely. So I'm just going to take that and move that out of the way for a moment. Okay, so now I've got the bottom sections. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to start by deselecting and separating. Deselect, separate, deselect, separate. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before. So I'm going to select, and I'm going to do a quick planar. Where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, there we go. I'm going to do this for each one. And the reason I have to separate these is because the quick planar does it based on the best possible angle. And all of these are facing a different direction, so it makes it a lot easier if I can just separate them, do quick planar on each. Otherwise, if I have them all selected, what happened is it tried to do just the top view of all of them, which wasn't good. Okay. And just for good measure, I'm going to do relax until flat, which is this icon. And again, that's going to spread things apart a little bit here to make it better for texturing. Ooh, didn't like that one so much. So I'm going to leave that one as is. I don't want to mess with it too much. Really, if I had to, I could come in by vertex and make this larger. And I could manually do this if I really had to. Because some of these are going to be basically, maybe they're not as bad as I'm thinking. I wanted to see if maybe I had any overlapping happening. I mean, these are going to be at the very bottom of the player's feet, I don't really need to spend that much time on these. Whoa, what's going on with that guy? I don't even know what that is. Let's see what this is. Okay. So maybe that happened whenever I did the relax. Alright, well, guess there's really nothing to do but do that again. Always nice whenever you're doing anything in any 3D software and the computer just does something. Alright, so I'm trying to fix this. So I'm going to planar, and I'll just do it based off of, say, the X direction for now. Alright, so I got to separate these again, unfortunately. Weird. Must have hit undo on that one. Alright, so once again, select everything here. I'm going to go back to the top view, deselect, move out of the way. Deselect, move, deselect, and move. Alright, so let's give this another shot. So I'm going to do quick planar, which if it worked, oh, I'm looking for here. Alright, that looked okay. Quick planar, and quick planar. Alright, so we're not going to do the relax. Sorry if you'd already done that and messed up just the same way I did. Alright, so now I'm going to select all the frame sections. So this is going to be pretty much exactly the same way. So I'm going to go to my top view, and I'm going to turn off the select by element. So I'm going to deselect one group of them, separate, deselect, separate, deselect, and separate. Okay, and then I can do quick planar, and I'm going to try something. Nope. How about see what happens here. Ugh. Alright, just leave that the way it is. Alright. Quick planar. Sometimes I try things just to see what's going to happen, and I don't know. Doesn't always work out for me. I probably just said that a minute ago. Alright, so those are all my, basically my door frames. What I was trying to get away from having to do was, right now I do have some overlapping that's happening here with vertices. So basically all of the vertices here, here, so all of those are all overlapping, which isn't ideal, but again, this section here is so thin, a gamer's probably not going to see it or pay attention to it. So is it worth my time to fix? Maybe, but it's probably not going to cause that much of a problem. Alright, and the last part I have is all of my frame sections here. So what I'm going to do with these is simply deselect the inside part. Yep, that's good. And I'm going to click break. And I'm just going to move those out to the side. Alright, so I'm going to do let's see, all of my tops. All the tops I should be able to do together. So if I do a quick planer on those, yeah, it's going to give me all of those together. So that's not bad. I'm okay with that. So I'll move those out of the way. The problem I'm going to have is I got to separate all of these like I have been the other ones. So simply done, just deselect and move. Deselect and move. Alright. Let's see if I have any luck with those. That's really not too good. What about... Well, that's not so bad. I can deal with that. Alright, so what I'm using here is I'm using this quick peel option, which actually that works pretty nicely. So it turns everything here sideways so I can see it better. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to put these objects a little closer together. So I'm going to turn on element mode. Actually, I should be able to if I quick planar all of these individually, I should be able to put them into the same space here, which will make texturing them a lot easier. And they'll also take up a lot less space, which would be good. Yeah, this is going to work. I'm going to make that a lot easier. Whoops. Select everything here and take that out. And I might as well do that for each one of these. Let's see if this... I don't know if it'll rotate. Oh, okay. So it is going to keep those like that. Well, I'll just take these two. Really? And I'll rotate them 90 degrees. I just kind of overlay these on top of one another. Alright, so I think everything's pretty good. So now I should be able to take these different sections and arrange them so they take up very little space inside my UV editor. Okay, so we've got all of these parts. So what I'm going to do is move these all close together. So this is my left side. I'm not really all too worried about like keeping all of the left ones in one spot. I mean, I could technically do that, but you know, if I wanted to say, okay, all of the left sections are going to be in the upper left, and then the middle section is here, and then this is my back section. So I'll keep left and right on one side, and then front and back on another side here. And I'm just going to move these pretty close together. I want to leave a little gap in between here. Okay, that's pretty good. And then I'm going to take everything here and I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to do my best to have these take up the most space in my editor. And what I think I'm going to do is actually break these parts apart. So that way I can end up rotating all of these and kind of collapsing this down a bit so it's taking up less space. I'm just going to lay these over top of one another. Alright. So really I should be able to take these and really maximize this space as much as possible, because they're going to be the most important things that are in any of these rooms. So we'll try something about that size. I'll move that up there. Alright, and then just to optimize this a bit more, I'm going to have everything, let's see, these I'm going to pair over here with this, since these are all these sections of the doors. Alright, and then these will go over here. Scale these down slightly just to get them to fit in nice. And then the last part is all of this. So I'll move these up, take up that space, and then I've got just that one there, which I'm going to try to fit in over here. Let's maximize this for a second. So scale this down. Rotate this. So what's nice about doing this whole process like this is I can now make it so one wall has one sort of texture. That way all of the walls aren't basically keeping exactly the same sort of textures on it. So I could basically make a room where all of these doors or all of these walls are going to be red, these ones are all going to be blue, these are all going to be yellow, these are all going to be white. And that way I could make some sort of maze where you have to go through all the red doors or something. You know, I could plan my game around that. But I was able to get all of the rooms that I have to share the same exact UV space here. And the doors, if I were to select any of the door sections, they're basically having all of these parts and this section's removed on them, but they're still sharing the same exact UV space. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and save my project, and I'll just add a plus here, and then convert this. Actually, before I convert it, I'm going to render out, actually no, I'm going to convert to edit poly, and I'm going to just select one of my room section. This is actually perfect because this one has no doors, but I can select this. I'm going to apply the UV unwrap back on here, and I'm going to open my editor. Oh well, this one actually, let me get the one that has the 4 doors. So I'm just going to hit H to pull up my list. So I'm going to do 4 walls. So 4 walls and 4 doors. And I'll put it on that one. So unwrap UVW, open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render out the UVW template. And since these are all no, they're all 256 by 256. I'm going to end up making my textures a little larger, so I'm going to just stick to a 1024 by 1024, and then I will render this out. I'm going to turn this to solid, and I do not want to show any overlaps for this because I'm sure there are some. That's fine. And so I'll just render out the UV template so we can basically see anywhere here that this area is my walls, these are where my doors are going to be. So this would be good because then I can make some textures that take into consideration there being doors, and then, or I can have it to where all of them share basically the same texture on all of them, or I can make it so each section has a very particular texture on it. That really about wraps it up. Make sure you save your UV information here. I always save mine out as a target file, and I'm just going to call this room section UVW. And we'll save that out. I want to do a 32-bit per pixel image, so it keeps the alpha channel, and I don't want to compress. I'll say OK. And so just to kind of show you what this looks like, wow, I didn't realize I minimized max there. So I'm going to just convert that back to an editable poly. And everything is basically over top of one another here, which would be nice also for whenever I export these one at a time, or if I do them as a group to send to Unity, which is typically the game engine I'm going to work in. It'll make sure that everything starts off at 0, 0, 0. It's all going to be the same size. So that'll be really helpful. But let me just grab basically any sort of, oh, there's a new tutorial up if you haven't seen it. But I'm going to just grab a, let's say, wood panel texture. That's not what I typed. Wood anal texture. That's a good idea. So I'm going to do seamless is usually good. So I'm going to tell it that I want my size to be basically, let's just put in 1024 by 1024. Let's see if any come up. Oh, here we go, perfect. Even though it'd be weird for wood paneling to be going this way, but just go to view image, and I'll save this in my 3ds Max folder with everything else here. Modular rooms, room sections, I'll call this wood panel, and save. Okay, so I'm going to come into Max, and I'm going to create a new texture for this. So I'm just going to go with a standard texture with a bitmap, grab my wood panel, I'm going to double click this, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so it's going up and down. 90, that's weird. And I'm going to plug that into my diffuse slot. I'm going to tell this to show in the viewport, and I'll assign this to everything that's selected. So let me just select everything here. And I'm going to assign material to selection. And so what you can see happens here is it's not going to be the same texture on here that's directly on here. So all of these are going to look differently as far as the walls are concerned. And you can see how basically any of the other sections end up looking here. So the ones even with the door frames, you can see the textures running different directions on here. That's fine for this. But you can see that all of it looks different. This wall doesn't look exactly like this wall. So that's kind of the idea for me separating everything the way that I have done here. So hopefully you found this video informative. If you enjoyed this and liked it and found it helpful, please give me a like. And also I'd like it if you could subscribe and share and all that great stuff. Yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Thanks for watching.